Berserk is the worst universe to live in. Last month I made a video about Invincible being the worst universe to live in, but I was wrong. I was extremely wrong. Even though Invincible is extremely bad, even though a lot of people ended up dying for no reason, and Invincible himself gets his ass whooped every time by the Viltrumites, none of that comes close to Berserk. Berserk is on a whole different level. Berserk is not just a dark anime, it's not just a violent one, it's not just an anime where the main character suffers a lot and bad things happen regularly. Nah, the entire universe is cooked. It's literally designed to destroy human beings, not as a side effect or not by accident. The entire universe is basically rigged against every single person living in it, from the poorest to the most powerful person alive. So I'm gonna be covering and proving why Berserk is the worst universe to live in. So let's dive into it. Let me first establish what makes Berserk different from every other dark anime universe, because there are plenty of brutal worlds in anime. We have Attack on Titan. Titans are literally everywhere. Humanity living behind the wall in constant fear. Your entire civilization could be wiped in a single afternoon. Demon Slayer, demons hunt humans at night, eating entire families, and only a tiny fraction of humanity has the ability to basically fight back. Vinland Saga, there are so many things happening, like Viking raids, brutal warfare, slavery, zero mercy. All of these are terrible worlds that I would absolutely not want to live in. Living in basically any of these worlds is suicide, but every single one of them still don't come close to Berserk. Berserk is literally built different, and the reason is because these other animes have structure. They have a system. In Attack on Titan, there are walls to protect you. Even though they might get broken one way or the other, they still protect you. They are still there to protect you. In Demon Slayer, if you stay inside at night, no party, no clubbing, just lock your doors and basically go to sleep and mind your business, your survival odds honestly improves drastically. It's better than going out at night, I can tell you for sure. In Vinland Saga, if you're not near an open sea or you're not in a war zone, honestly you can live a normal life. You can have as many wives as you want, you can have as many children as you want, and you actually be at peace. But Berserk has none of that. The entire universe is cooked. There is nowhere to hide. Once you're born into the Berserk universe, you are literally cooked from day one. The danger is literally everywhere for no reason, and it's not tied to being at the wrong place at the wrong time. It's just part of the universe. And one of the main reasons why there's so much danger and there's so much violence in this universe is because of the God Hands. The God Hands are basically 5 transcending niggas who sit above everything in the Berserk universe. These motherfuckers are above presidents, they're above celebrities, they're above armies, they're above demons, they're above every human who ever lived, and their function is basically to manage causality. They guide the flow of fate towards an outcome that basically favors them. They don't rule the world directly, nor do they conquer it, but they make sure every outcome serves them the most. So you're not just dealing with powerful enemies that you could beat in a fight. So you're basically dealing with beings that could arrange circumstances so that you end up exactly where they need you to be. The entire chain of events that leads to the worst moment of your life, such as a breakup, losing your job, being broke, all that kind of stuff that breaks your life in half, could potentially have been created by these 5 beings without you even having any idea about it, because so many people don't have any idea about the God Hands. And what is crazy about this is that you cannot fight fate, you cannot punch your way through causality, you cannot train hard enough to overcome the fact that this universe is being operated by 5 entities who are literally gods and basically cause the suffering of every single human being and think that is the right thing to do. There's nothing you can do about it. Now, one thing that makes the God Hands extremely diabolical is there is this thing called Behelit. It's a small egg-shaped object. It looks like a talisman. It could be sitting in your pocket right now and you would have no idea why it's in your pocket, or you have no idea it's in your pocket in the first place. And every single Behelit belongs to a specific person, and it will always find its way back to the owner no matter what happens to it. You can throw it all the way to China, it will come back. You can throw it in the river, it will come back. You can bury it, it will still come back. Regardless of what you do, it's gonna come back. But one thing about the Behelit is that once you hit your absolute lowest point, your absolute rock bottom, you lose everything, you're depressed and there's nothing left, this fucking Behelit will activate and the God Hands will appear and they're gonna offer you a deal. This deal is basically selling your soul to the devil. If you agree to basically take this deal, you would have to sacrifice what you love the most, sacrifice the people closest to you, and in exchange you become an apostle, a demon with overwhelming power who serves the God Hands. And the crazy thing about this is that you get the chance to trade everything that makes you human and everything about yourself for power. And the most disgusting part is that the God Hands does not seek out people who are evil. They seek out niggas that are desperate, blokes that are tired of living and almost at the point of no return. And sometimes all of these were arranged by the same people giving you this deal, which is the crazy part. They basically manufacture the conditions that break a person, then show up with their offer at the exact moment the person gives up and is not willing to fight anymore. And that is literally the Berserk universe. There is no hope. That is what you believe in inside if you were to find yourself in this system. The system basically preys and finds people at their weakest point and converts them into monsters, and he has been doing that since the 80s. Most of the evil shit that basically happens in Berserk is because of the God Hands. These guys are behind everything, and another reason or another crazy thing they did is what we call the eclipse. You cannot talk about Berserk without basically talking about the eclipse. And for those who don't know, basically the eclipse is the event that defines God's entire existence. It's the event that proves everything I've been saying about this world being fundamentally broken and basically fundamentally not safe to live in. So let me paint the full picture. Griffin builds the band of Hawks from nothing, a group that earns its way from street level fights to becoming the most celebrated military force in the Kingdom of Midland. These are not random soldiers. This is a group of people who genuinely care about each other and have been fighting together for years and are willing to literally die for each other without any hesitation. Guts and Griffin became best friends, the closest thing either of them has had to a genuine human connection. Cursor also gave everything to the cause. Every single member of this organization was there from the scratch. They literally built it from the ground upwards. Everybody sacrificed everything and they knew this was like a real family to them. But one day, Griffin sacrifices every single one of them. No enemies, no strangers, no people he barely knew. The people who loved him completely and followed him through everything. He fed them to demons to power his own ascension to the God Hands, and now he becomes Femto. And in the process, the entire band of the Hawk gets annihilated by apostles, while Guts and Kasa are forced to watch. And what happened to Kasa in the eclipse is one of the most fucked up shit you would ever see in a manga or an anime, and you can have my word for it. I'm not gonna go into details because YouTube might ban me. I'm not gonna lie. You either know it or you find out one way or the other. But the result is that one of the most competent and most resilient characters in the series gets her mind completely broken, not temporarily but permanently, to the point where there is no way to heal her regardless of the time and the support she gets. The Kasa who existed before the eclipse is gone, and Guts has spent years and years and years of the story carrying the grief while fighting to get her back. That is the eclipse, one of the most complete and devastating betrayals in the history of the anime, and it happens because the God Hand magic worked exactly as designed. The God Hands basically guided Griffin to his lowest point, and the Behelit activated, and the offer was made, and every single person who trusted Griffin paid for it with their life. Now ask yourself, in the world where this is possible, where the most trusted person in your life could be carrying a Behelit and you have no idea about it, where causality is being managed towards outcomes like this, how do you even trust anybody? How do you even build something without the knowledge that the universe can activate the betrayal mechanism at any moment it decides the time is right? So let's say you survive the eclipse. Let's say you are Guts. You've somehow make it through the worst events in your life with enough left to keep moving. What does the world give you as a reward for surviving? You get the brand of sacrifice. The brand of sacrifice is a mark burned into Guts' neck and Kasa's body during the eclipse, and what it does is genuinely cruel even by Berserk standards. The brand bleeds whenever a demon is nearby, basically meaning it bleeds constantly because demons are basically everywhere in this world. Turn left, there's a demon here. You turn right, there's a demon there. And especially at night, these demons go crazy at night. Every single night, every demon in the area is drawn to Guts and Kasa by the brand. It's almost like Find My iPhone, because as soon as it's in the night, the demons can basically pinpoint exactly where Guts and Kasa are, regardless of where they are. Honestly, it's crazy. Every single night without exception, something is coming for them, attracted by the mark of their own sacrifice, hunted by the same supernatural system that already destroyed their lives once. So Guts cannot stop. He cannot stop and settle down. He cannot build a life in one place, because the moment the sun goes down, the things that want to kill him know exactly where he is. The brand is not just a physical mark, it's a permanent declaration from the universe that Guts and Kasa are targets forever. There is no quest that ends with the brand being lifted. There is no final boss to kill and get the brand lifted. There is no solution or way to get rid of it. They are basically cooked forever. Imagine being in their shoes. Imagine waking up your entire life knowing you're going to be hunted for the rest of your life regardless, and understand what this means. So that is basically what Guts has to do with his entire life. But one thing that favors Guts is that he's one of the greatest fighters in the entire series, and he's carrying such a big ass sword. I really don't know why his sword used to be that big, but hey, good for him. He also has a mechanical arm with a cannon built into it, and he's been training and fighting since he was like a baby. And even with all that, surviving every single night is not guaranteed. Some night, the sheer volume of what shows up is enough to push even Guts to his absolute limit. Now this is the part that basically defends my point of me saying Berserk is the worst universe to live in. Everything I just described, from the God Hands to the apostles to the brand, that is what the main characters are basically dealing with. The people who are extraordinary, the people who have plot armor and fighting ability, and the specific circumstances that makes them relevant to the God Hand's design or to the story itself. Now ask yourself, what about regular people? What about the farmers, the villagers, the city dwellers who make up 95% of Midland's population? They do not have a big ass sword. They do not have years of combat training. They do not have a scout knight who shows up occasionally to save them from the worst outcomes. They are just people living in a medieval world that already has regular medieval problems. So they have poverty, plague, war, exploitation, famine, and they still have to deal with all this nonsense that is basically happening. They still have to deal with the God Hands. They still have to deal with the demons. They still have to deal with the apostles, which is absolutely crazy. I would choose any other universe over this one because this is just too much. There's too much happening. Daytime, I have to deal with exploitation. I have to deal with war, poverty, famine. Then in the night, I got to deal with demons, apostles. Like, I wouldn't choose any other world than to deal with all this. Honestly, it's basically a struggle to survive. Now, one thing about the apostles is that they did not transform into mindless monsters. They're actually intelligent, strategic, and they're fully capable of blending into human society whenever they choose to. And some of them even hold positions of power, like nobles, military commanders, leaders of institutions. They live among regular people, sometimes for years, sometimes for decades, doing whatever they want because there's absolutely nothing in this world that can stop them. The regular person in Berserk is not just vulnerable to the normal dangers of their era. They are potentially living under the leadership of a demon who views them as livestock too. They're potentially in a town that an apostle can basically decide to use as a feeding ground one night. There is no warning system, no defense mechanism, no demon slayer corps, no special weapons, just whatever they have on hands like shovel, knives, scissors, whatever they have, and also whatever prayers they can offer to the gods, which we already know the gods are the ones causing all this. There is basically no hope in this world. Now the worst part about this universe is that in the morning and afternoon you have to basically deal with war, plague, and all those kind of stuff. In the night you got to deal with demons, but once you die, that's not it. Your soul does not simply pass on. You don't go to heaven or to hell. There is something called the vortex of souls, and what it does is that it's a cosmic current that basically pulls the souls of the dead into a collective mass that feeds the God Hands continued existence. So once you basically die, you become food for the God Hands, because the God Hands basically feed on people dying, and the more people die, the more they get a chance to live forever. So the entire universe is rigged against you. It's rigged so you die, so the God Hands can basically survive. So you cannot escape this world by dying. Your suffering potentially continues in the form you cannot do shit about. The system owns you in life and it consumes you in death. That's the full picture of existing in the Berserk universe as an ordinary human being, and it's genuinely one of the most complete arguments for it being the worst universe ever to live in. In other universes, there is always a start and there is an end and there is a final boss and there is so many things you can do to basically survive, but for Berserk, the God Hands cannot be permanently destroyed. There is no way to basically kill these people. Well, I haven't seen it yet. The apostle system also keeps converting new humans to becoming demons and stuff. The vortex of soul also keeps consuming the dead. The Scout Knight has been fighting the God Hands for centuries now, and the world is still fucked. Even the most powerful force of resistance the series has produced has made essentially no progress after years and hundreds of years of trying. The Scout Knight is very important because he's potentially the most experienced and capable warrior in the entire series. He carried knowledge that spans centuries of fighting against the God Hands, and he himself operates in survival mode. Even he can also offer guards a road path to fixing the fundamental problem. He can help, he can intervene when they need him to, but he cannot dismantle the God Hand. Nobody can. That is the verdict on basically the Berserk universe. The entire system is cooked either ways. There is no solution and there is no way to get rid of the God Hands. So yeah, that'll be my defense for Berserk being the worst universe to live in. Mind you, I didn't bring up everything that has happened in the Berserk universe because there are so many things that are very diabolical and too graphic to even talk about it on YouTube, but the ones I've talked about so far, I should basically be able to defend my point or prove me right or whatever. The God Hands, the Eclipse, the Brand, all of these make the Berserk universe sound like torture and one of the worst places to live in. If you disagree, let me know in the comments down below. That's one thing I love about Guts. Guts is basically fighting in this world, knowing full well he's up against cosmic beings that are actively trying to kill him and making all his progress zero, but he still refuses to stop. And that is what makes him one of the best main characters I've ever seen. The evil in this world is crazy, but Guts is a really cold ass nigga. That is why even though I wouldn't want to take a single breath inside the Berserk universe, I will never stop watching what happens inside it. So yeah, that's my full case. The Berserk universe is by far one of the worst or the worst universe to ever live in for the things that I have seen so far, the animes and the mangas I have come across so far. If you think there's any other anime or manga that is much worse than Berserk, please don't forget to comment down below. Also, if you had one night in the Berserk universe with zero powers, you're just an ordinary ground floor member, what is your actual strategy to surviving? I want to see some creative survival plans in the comments, so please don't forget to comment down below and please don't forget to like, subscribe. Till next time, au revoir.